I wasn't supposed to be in that place. From the outside, everything looked good. You know how it is. People see the smile, the suit, the success, and they think, hey, he's got it all together. But when the cameras go off, when the crowd leaves, when you're alone with your thoughts, that's when the truth comes out. That morning, I didn't wake up refreshed. I didn't wake up inspired. I woke up empty, like something inside me had burned out and no one even noticed the smoke. Now, let me be honest with you. I've stood on stages. I've looked into the eyes of greatness. I've shaken hands with kings. But none of that matters when your soul is starving. I had been running not from people, but from myself. Running from disappointment. Running from regret. Running from that little voice in the back of my mind that kept asking, is this it? And when you run long enough, you start mistaking motion for progress. You start thinking that if you just stay busy enough, loud enough, productive enough, maybe you won't have to sit in that silence. But silence is funny. It waits. It waits until the world quiets down, until the noise fades. And then it whispers truths you've been trying to avoid. That's where I was. My back hurt, my eyes were heavy, but my spirit, it was the heaviest thing of all. I swung my legs off the bed, sat there for a moment, staring at the wall like it held the answers. But the wall didn't speak. The ceiling didn't part. No angel came down to explain the purpose of my pain, just silence. And somewhere in that stillness, I realized I had never really prayed just to listen. I had prayed to get things. I had prayed to be saved from things. I had prayed when things went wrong. But I had never just stopped, opened my mouth and said, God, I don't know what you're doing, but I'm listening. That wasn't a performance. That wasn't a speech. That wasn't Sunday morning, dressed up, pew sitting, past a plate religion. That was raw. That was real. That was a man on the edge of himself, finally done pretending. And the truth is, sometimes it takes being broken to find the blessing. I didn't pray that morning because I was holy. I prayed because I was hungry. I prayed because I didn't want to keep walking around with a full schedule and an empty heart. That moment right there, that low point, was the turning point. But not because everything magically changed. No. Because I changed. Because for the first time, I let go of control. I wasn't asking God to fix it all. I was just asking him to sit with me in it. And that, my friend, is where healing begins. You ever notice how some of the loudest moments in your life don't make a sound? That morning, after I whispered that simple, broken prayer, God, I don't know what you're doing, but I'm listening. I didn't hear thunder. I didn't see lightning. The ground didn't shake beneath me, but something inside me shook, not like a blast, not like a breakthrough in the movies. No choir started singing, no light burst through the window. It was quieter than that. So quiet, it was almost easy to miss. It came like a breath, like the first breeze after a long storm. Like that moment when the rain stops and you can finally hear the birds again. It was peace, but not the kind of peace that comes from everything being okay. This peace came in spite of the chaos. This peace wasn't because the world had changed. It was because I had opened the door. I didn't suddenly get all the answers. I didn't suddenly become fearless, flawless, or fixed. But what I got was clarity. That whisper in my spirit said, you're not forgotten. You're not alone. You are mine. And I'm telling you right now, once you hear that, once you feel that kind of truth in your bones, you don't walk the same anymore. That whisper turned into a roar inside me, a roar of purpose, of identity, of conviction. I had been walking around with a mask, the achiever, the doer, the dependable one. But deep down, I was afraid to be still, afraid to be seen without all the titles. But in that moment, I realized God doesn't need my mask. He doesn't need my resume. He doesn't care how many people clap for me. He cares if I trust him. He cares if I show up as I really am. And from that whisper came a wave that washed away the pressure, the noise, the expectations I had carried for years. That's when I started moving different. I wasn't praying just to survive anymore. I was praying to align with who I was made to be. I started speaking with more intention, started loving people I used to rush past, started forgiving folks I swore I couldn't, not because I was trying to be better, but because I finally believed I was already loved. That's what that prayer did. It gave me permission to stop performing and start becoming. And let me tell you, when you get quiet long enough to hear that whisper, when you let it settle into your soul, it grows louder than any doubt, any fear, any lie you've been told about who you're not. It's not about getting louder in the world. It's about getting still enough to hear the truth, and then letting that truth rise up in you like a roar, a quiet prayer, a broken whisper. That's all it took. And that whisper, it changed the whole sound of my life. Every morning since that day, I've made it a discipline to begin my day with that same prayer. Not out of routine, not out of obligation, but because I remember where I was when I first said it. I remember the weight I was under. I remember the silence. I remember the whisper. Now every morning I get up, plant my feet on the ground, and I say, God, I don't have to know the plan, but let me walk with you in the purpose. Because here's what I've learned. The plan will change. Life will throw curves. People will let you down. Doors will open and some will slam shut in your face. But purpose, real, God-given, soul-deep purpose, doesn't change. Purpose isn't about what you do. It's about why you do it and who you're becoming, why you do it. Purpose gives pain a context. Purpose gives struggle a reason. Purpose turns delay into development. And when you walk in it, when you stop asking for permission from the world to be who you already are, that's when your life begins to move in rhythm with something greater. I started noticing that I wasn't drawn to the spotlight anymore. I was drawn to the impact. I didn't need the applause. I needed alignment. I didn't crave recognition. I craved revelation. Every step I took, I asked, is this building me or just distracting me? Is this feeding my ego or is it feeding my purpose? People around me started asking what changed. I didn't have a 5-point plan or a motivational quote. I just said I started walking with God, not ahead of him. Stop forcing things. Stop chasing what wasn't mine. Stop shrinking myself to fit into rooms that couldn't hold what I carry. And when I say purpose, I don't mean some grand, glamorous destiny on a stage or a platform. Sometimes purpose looks like forgiving someone who will never say sorry. Sometimes it looks like showing up for your family when you're tired. Sometimes it looks like being faithful in the dark, trusting that light is still coming. Purpose isn't loud. It doesn't beg for attention. It moves with quiet confidence like a river carving out the earth. Slow, steady, unstoppable. So now, every day, I ask, where do you want me to walk today, God? Who do you want me to see? Who do you want me to be? And even when I don't know the destination, I keep moving because I know I'm not walking alone. That's the beauty of purpose. It doesn't demand that you know the whole journey. It just asks that you trust the guide. So I wake up and I pray, not for ease, not for comfort, not even for success. I pray for alignment, because when your steps match your purpose, even the pain starts to make sense. Even the detours become divine. That morning prayer, it was never about changing God's mind. It was about changing mine, changing the posture of my heart so that I could finally walk in step with what was already written. And now, With every breath, every choice, every step, I carry that whisper with me, not as an echo of weakness, but as a roar of strength. Because once you've walked with purpose, you never walk the same again. So here we are. I stood before you tonight not as a man with all the answers, but as a man who finally stopped pretending he didn't need to ask the question. And I came to tell you, not about a formula, not about a 10-step plan, but about a moment. One morning, one whisper, one simple, honest prayer that cracked open something in me that had been locked up for years. A prayer that didn't ask for more, but asked for meaning. A prayer that didn't beg for the outcome, but trusted the journey. God, I don't know what you're doing, but I'm listening. That's it. That's where everything shifted. So I need you to hear me. You don't have to be perfect to start praying. You don't have to have it all together to surrender. You don't need fancy words or a stained glass voice or some holy background track playing in the distance. You just need to be real. Because God doesn't respond to performance, He responds to presence. And when you get still enough to pray from that deep down place, that gut, that soul, that broken yet hopeful place, something happens. The whisper comes. And if you listen long enough, and if you listen long enough, you'll just like that, you'll learn it. You look like a kid until you learn. So tonight, I'm not asking you to remember my story. I'm asking you to consider your own. What would happen if tomorrow morning, before the noise, before the emails, before the pressure, you whispered a prayer, not to fix your life, not to impress anybody. God, I don't have to know the plan. Just walk with me in the purpose. That's all. Because that morning prayer changed my life. And if you're ready, really ready, to stop running, stop hiding, stop carrying what was never yours to carry, then it can change yours too. Right now, right here, and every morning after. Amen.